Well, I appreciate all of your Ask the Pastor questions that have come in over the last several weeks. Keep them coming. You can email them to me or send them to me on Facebook Messenger, drop them off at the office or in the mail, however you want to bring them in, and we'll keep answering them in the weeks to come. Our question today is, what do souls look like in heaven? And they don't look like us. How do we recognize others that we know? I appreciate this question because of the way it's phrased, that it uses the word soul for us in this time between death and resurrection. So we do believe in an intermediate state, that when we die, our bodies go in the ground. Our soul, by grace through faith, is with Christ, the side of his resurrection and ascension. So we wait in a place of disembodied existence, and yet we are with Jesus. I think we see hints of this in Revelation 6, Revelation 7, perhaps. In Revelation 6, we see that the martyrs praying for Jesus to return to the earth and set all things right. Revelation 7, we see worship as our activity for what we're doing between our death and our resurrection. We also want to keep in mind passages like Luke chapter 16 as Jesus tells the parable of the rich man and Lazarus. And although its key issue is not this intermediate state, what we often call heaven, we can see some hints of what things may be like. So to die in Christ is to be with Christ. It's our primary hope. Our primary hope is not to depart and see loved ones, but it is to be with Christ. And as we confess this, we want to make sure that beyond even dying and being with Christ, we want to see our great hope as the resurrection of the body and life of the world to come. I'll include on the video an article by Dr. Jeff Gibbs regarding some of the books that have come out about near-death experiences. I'm not a fan of these books, and the article will look into why. But one of the most fundamental reasons is very often as we talk about what happens to us beyond the grave, we don't talk enough about the resurrection of the body and the life of the world to come, even though we confess these things in our creeds. So, to get back to the question, what happens to our souls? Well, they're with Christ, and they are souls. Our bodies are in the ground. They don't have a look to them per se. But at the resurrection, the new heavens and the new earth will be ourselves. We'll have these bodies fully restored, immortal, imperishable. We'll be like Christ. We'll see Christ as he is, at least according to his human nature, we'll be like Christ. And that's the hope of the church, is the resurrection of the body. And those bodies will be recognizable. Think of the disciples on the road to Emmaus as they recognize Jesus once he breaks the bread. Think of his appearance to Thomas, where he had nail prints in his hands, the scars in his side. We'll be the people that we are. And so I think there are reasons to believe that at the resurrection, we'll be able to recognize one another and rejoice together in the presence of Christ. Will we be able to recognize one another between our death and resurrection day, whenever that is? I don't know that the scriptures say too much to that particular question, other than in the resurrection, we'll be fully human in ways that we really even aren't now, and restored to a creation that's also fully restored. So I've got some passages for you to look up. Love the question once again. Keep them coming, and the Lord be with you.